How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope that you guys are all having a great day. I apologize in advance if there's any noise in the background. Right now it is 89 degrees when I am recording this video, so I have the AC shut off, so hopefully that's not in the background being so loud, but I do have a fan going, so I do apologize for that. I'm trying to not die of heat and get this video out for you guys as soon as possible. And as always, we're going to be talking positives and negatives, talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, aka Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This is the second movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe of Phase 5. Of course, this film came out here in 2023. It is rated PG-13. It's about 2 hours and 29 minutes. And it definitely felt like a 2.5-hour movie. It was extremely long, and this is, of course, supposed to be the conclusion of the Guardians of the Galaxy that we know and love, that started off in 2014 and has continued with its two sequels. And of course, they were in Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and briefly in Thor Love and Thunder. I do want to say that there are two post-credit scenes. There is a mid-credit scene to tease possible future adventures with a different group of Guardians of the Galaxy, and then a small little teaser at the very end dealing with Star-Lord, with him being on Earth. If you guys have not seen this movie by the time this review has come out, oh well, because I'm going to be diving into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, this is your time to walk away before I dive too deeply into spoiler territory. You can, of course, skip to the very end of the video if you guys want to hear my final thoughts and my score. But I will be diving spoiler heavy into this video a lot when it comes to this movie. So you've been warned. So the film deals with the loss of Gamora in Avengers Endgame, while also having the Guardians have to face past demons and new threats like Adam Warlock and the High Evolutionary, and the fact that Rocket is literally on life support. Adam Warlock shows up at the very beginning of the movie, causes a bunch of chaos and destruction, and nearly kills Rocket. And Rocket cannot be, unfortunately, saved, because if they try to do any sort of medical procedure onto Rocket, there is a kill switch built into him, and he will just die of that. So he'll die if he doesn't get saved by his injuries, and he'll also get killed by not removing the kill switch. So he has two ways of possibly dying in this movie. I do think that this movie's strongest point in the film is Rocket's backstory. When the film was doing Rocket's tragic backstory with the flashbacks, I think that's where the movie excelled. It excelled greatly at telling Rocket's backstory. If we just got a 90-minute movie about that, I would have given it a 10 out of 10. That's how good I think the flashbacks were in this movie. I think they nailed Rocket's backstory. And I knew it was going to be tragic. I've already known what Rocket's backstory was. And I went and saw it with some friends and family, and they had never known the tragedy of what led to Rocket's creation as to how we know him in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And seeing that, again, it's still heartbreaking. But seeing with people that have never experienced it, and they're like you get little, points of it within the past films with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but never to this depth. This movie just goes straight into it. Now, of course, because it is very emotional and very tragic, it does hit on the whole animal cruelty aspect of it. So if you are a very diehard animal lover, just fair warning, bring a box of tissue. I think the film does a decent, if I can say it that. It does a lot. This film does a lot. I don't want to say it does good or great, but it does a decent enough, I guess, mixture of action and humor. But the structure of the film is bad. And I'll get into that later throughout the video. The structure of it is bad. The characters in this movie are decent enough, but there's just way too many. You literally have the entire Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got the Ravengers back. You've got cameos from Nathan Fillion. You've got Adam Warlock. You've got the High Evolutionary. And everybody that's under them and around them. And it's just, there are so many characters to keep track of. This movie is more filled with characters than Avengers Endgame. There's just way too many characters to keep track of, and keep track of who is doing what and why they're doing it. How the plot goes from scene to scene is bad. Just the film has bad progression, bad pacing. There are characters that just, like I said, Adam Warlock shows up at the beginning of the movie. He does some stuff. Then he leaves. Then about half an hour later, he just shows up, does something, leaves. Half an hour later, he shows up again, does something, leaves. And that is for a couple of characters, not just specifically Adam Warlock, but characters just do that. Also, Adam Warlock, I felt like was secondary. Like, how they changed his origin story at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I knew it was going to piss me off when they brought him into Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or any future MCU project after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But Adam Warlock felt pointless. Like, if you literally ripped Adam Warlock out of the movie, you could have done something different with how Rocket gets injured and has to be saved. And you could have done something different throughout the movie with who's causing all the chaos. You could have done something even better with the fact that at the end of the movie, Adam Warlock is the one that saves Star-Lord. Where was Star-Lord's face mask and his jetpack leg boot thingies? They're gone. They're not in this movie whatsoever. And the reason they're not in there is so they could get Adam Warlock in and have him have at least 5 minutes of screen time. But he just felt pointless throughout this entire movie. The High Evolutionary being in this film, great villain. I think he's probably the best villain that we've had since Thanos in Avengers Endgame. I really did like him. He was definitely very menacing. You really root for the fact that you want him to be defeated. Moving on with negatives, unfortunately, character deaths, they're meaningless. Like, characters are just constantly put into these life and death situations. The film just constantly is tricking you into thinking a character should be dead. But for the sake of the story, they're just not. Like, characters are just getting literally stabbed in the heart and stabbed in the gut. Groot constantly is being blown up, but because his head somehow survives, he's still okay. It makes no logical sense in that department. So death means nothing in this movie whatsoever. You could kill somebody and they come back somehow by plot convenience 15 minutes later. Rocket being the main focus is great. Unfortunately, because of that, all the other characters are just there because it's the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, not the Rocket movie. Gamora. Let's talk about Gamora. Now, the actress that plays her does a great job. But the script, the Gamora that is in here is just so irritating to watch on screen. They literally pressed the reset button on Gamora. Now, if you don't remember, Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 was killed by Thanos so Thanos could get the Soul Stone in Infinity War. So the Gamora that is in this Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie is not the Gamora that we have seen prior. This is the Gamora that is pulled out of the past before the events of the Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which means she has had no relationship, love-wise, with Star-Lord, and she has no relationship or chemistry whatsoever, family-wise, with the rest of the Guardians. And I just hated that. I didn't like it when they pulled Gamora from the past in the Endgame, and I'm just like, oh gosh, how are they going to funnel this plot line into the Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And I'm just like, you know what? They failed. Whether you like it or not, when a character dies, they need to stay dead. And that's the problem, the biggest problem I have with Endgame now is time travel. You can go into the past, pull somebody out, and they're alive. To me, that is the very root cause of why Phase 4 sucked, is because Phase 4 tried to set up the multiverse, because like, we can just bring characters back from the dead, and they're okay. Death does have a permanent stay, no matter what franchise you're in, whether that's Star Wars, Star Trek. Resurrecting old characters for the sake of nostalgia or plot convenience, or just because the character's so beloved, makes it when they do die, you're like, okay, they'll probably come back in 10 movies, or they'll be alive somehow. But Gamora in this movie, I just hated it, because she's so irritating to the rest of the characters, and they're constantly yelling at each other. If you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Characters are constantly yelling at each other, constantly bickering at each other if they're not telling a joke. The humor in this movie reminds me of Thor: Love and Thunder, where the humor overshadows emotional moments, revelations, action sequences. The emotions, unless it's like the flashbacks for the Rocket's tragic backstory, those emotional moments are allowed to have some breath to sink in and, cause you to break your heart and cry a little. But when there's a big revelation or an emotional moment or an action sequence, emotion just constantly is taking a back seat. And it just irritates me because you would have thought that Thor Love and Thunder would have been like a wake-up call. Tomorrow would be like, okay, we need to dial the humor back down and focus on character moments and action and emotion. And it just feels like they don't understand that we don't like all that. Next thing, this film has way too much music. It is so overbearing how much music is in this movie. To wrap things up, guys, this is a very emotional film, and it is an entertaining film to watch. But I think it's the worst of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 films. I love the first one. Second one, good. I do want to say that if you don't know this, Mantis is Star-Lord's half-sister. And they made this canon in the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas holiday special. So if you haven't watched that, and it's like 45 minutes long, and it's on Disney+. If you haven't watched it, that was the biggest point of that movie, is they finally made a canon that Mantis and Star-Lord are actually family. But it was an entertaining movie. I just felt like this film, it tried to do too much with all of its plots, its characters, its songs, locations, emotions. It is definitely better than everything that we have gotten in Phase 4. I think it's probably the best Marvel movie that we've gotten since Spider-Man No Way Home. But it just doesn't feel like a proper ending to the group that we have seen for nearly 9 years. Nearly a decade, and this is what they could come up with. I just feel like James Gunn's like, okay, I just need to wrap this stuff up because I want to move on to now doing DC. And because James was in such freedom of this film, I'm kind of concerned about what he's going to do with the DC franchise now. And I know it's getting rebooted, and everything that has been announced that they're going to do, I'm not excited for. Like, the only reason I'm going to go see the Flash movie is because Michael Keaton's in it back as Batman. But other than that, I don't care. I don't care about the Authority. I don't care about Blue Beetle. I don't care about another Superman movie. I don't care about a new Batman movie. I just don't care. I'm so burnt out of comic book movies. The ending just doesn't feel natural in this film either. I hated how they did it. I hated how basically the end of the movie where everyone just splits up and goes on their separate ways. It doesn't feel like a big cinematic conclusion to these characters. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a very integral part of the Marvel franchise. They are a very integral part of the Avengers group too. And I just don't feel like this film did justice. It tried to do too many things, connecting to too many things, and setting up things. And I got a gut feeling that given the box office status of this film, we probably won't get a Guardians 4. If we do, it'll be like some sort of like mini movie. It'll be like 90 minutes long, or it'll be a TV show kind of thing. Whatever it is, it's not going to be entertaining and fun, in my opinion. So I have to give Guardians of the Galaxy 3, guys, a 6 out of 10. The more I was watching this movie, I wanted to give it like maybe a 7 or an 8. It's entertaining. I will state that. It's entertaining. Would I rush out and go see this in theaters? No. I think waiting for it to come to Disney Plus is probably a safer option. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It had certain moments that were enjoyable, like I said, Rocket's backstory. But as a finale to the Guardians of the Galaxy that we've known them, and a finale to the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, I don't think this movie satisfied me. And I don't think it satisfied a lot of people. Like, I walked out of the theater and I'm like, so what'd you think? I'm like, oh, it was fun. It's like, it just really lacked, it lacked that emotional stay power that the Marvel franchise has been known for. And I think it's just a sign that when we get these next two Avengers movies, I think the MCU needs to take either a long break or it needs to be done. Like, I know for a fact that they have plans not only to do Phase 6, but they want to do a Phase 7, 8, 9 dealing with Galactus. And I'm just like, I don't care. I don't. Like, I think Galactus should just be the villain in the Fantastic Four movie that kicks off Phase 6. My personal opinion. I am not going to be watching the Marvels. Moving on from the review, I'm not going to be watching the Marvels. I will not watch that movie. I will have to be extremely drunk, or it has to be free on Disney Plus, and even then, I'm just going to tear it to shreds. I know for a fact that movie is going to be bad, and I have no interest in spending full price admission in a movie theater to see it. What else are we getting in Phase 5? We're supposed to get Blade and something else. And then Fantastic Four is supposed to kick off Phase 6. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the Marvel franchise now, given that Jonathan Majors is now being charged with prison time for allegations made toward him. I'm like, it's just interesting how the main star for your villain for this, new phase of the MCU for Phase 4, 5, and 6 is now being pressed with prison time and charged with prison time, allegedly for crimes he has committed, allegedly. I don't know how anyone can be excited for the Marvel franchise anymore. I'm not excited for the Marvel franchise. I'm not excited for what's coming out DC-wise. Star Trek, I think, is finally finished. I mean, Discovery is getting a 5th season. Strange New Worlds is still going, I guess. Picard is wrapped up. Star Wars is running on fumes. Like, seriously, Star Wars is running on fumes. Like, I am excited for the Ahsoka show, but I'm not excited for, like, the Dave Filoni movie. I'm not excited for the High Republic movie. I'm not excited for Skeleton Crew or Acolyte. We need new franchises. We need new stuff. And, like, we got Fast 10 coming out. Yay! We got a new Transformers movie coming out. God, what is that? 7? Yeah, it'll be Transformers 7. Because we had Transformers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had the Bumblebee reboot. And now we're having Rise of the Beast. Why can't we get some new, fun, interesting movies? That's all I'm asking for. And some high-quality movies. Not these things that look like they got shot in your backyard. Alright, guys. This video has gone on for way too long. I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 gets a 6 out of 10. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next video stream. Bye, guys.